Welcome to AiTales, the channel where AI meets storytelling. Our goal is to push the boundaries of storytelling by incorporating the latest advances in artificial intelligence technology. We use AI to create immersive and interactive stories that blur the lines between reality and fiction. With our unique approach, you'll experience stories like never before, with personalized narratives that adapt to your choices and preferences. So join us on this exciting journey as we explore the possibilities of AI-powered storytelling. Welcome to AiTales. And let us begin. The city of London was once known for its aristocracy and opulence. But over time, the city's underbelly had taken over and gangs had started ruling the roost. Among these gangs, the most powerful was the English gangster, Johnny the Blade Smith. He had risen from a small-time crook to the leader of the most feared gang in London. Johnny's rise to power had not gone unnoticed by the Italian Mafia, who had a strong presence in the city. The Mafia had been operating in London for decades but had always kept a low profile, avoiding any confrontations with the local gangs. But with Johnny's gang gaining power, the Mafia felt threatened and decided to take action. The Mafia's leader, Don Carlo, summoned his most trusted henchman to his mansion on the outskirts of the city. "Gentlemen," he said, "we have a problem. The English gangsters have become too powerful and they are encroaching on our territory. We need to take action before it's too late." One of the henchmen, a seasoned enforcer named Giovanni, spoke up. "Don Carlo, we cannot let these upstarts take control of the city. But we must act with caution. The English gangsters are a dangerous lot, and we must not underestimate them." Don Carlo nodded in agreement. "You are right, Giovanni. We must be careful. But we cannot let them take control of the city. We need to show them that the Italian Mafia is still the most powerful force in London." The next day, Johnny the Blade Smith was at his headquarters when he received a call from one of his lieutenants. "Boss, we've got a problem. The Italians are making a move on our turf. They're looking to take over our operations in the city." Johnny knew that the Italians were not to be taken lightly. He had heard stories of their ruthlessness and their ability to get things done. But he was not one to back down from a fight. He decided to take the fight to them. The next day, a group of Johnny's men stormed one of the Italian Mafia's hideouts in the city. The battle was fierce, but Johnny's men emerged victorious. They had taken out several of the Italian Mafia's top enforcers and had sent a clear message that they were not to be messed with. But the victory was short-lived. Don Carlo was not one to let a defeat go unanswered. He ordered his men to strike back at Johnny's gang with full force. And soon, the streets of London were filled with the sounds of gunfire as the two gangs went to war. The battle lasted for weeks, with each side taking heavy losses. But in the end, it was Johnny the Blade Smith who emerged victorious. His gang had managed to push the Italian Mafia out of the city and take over their operations. As Johnny sat in his headquarters, looking out at the city he had conquered, he knew that he had won a great victory. But he also knew that the war was far from over. The Italian Mafia would not give up so easily, and they would be back for revenge. And so, the battle between the English gangster and the Italian Mafia continued, with no end in sight. Months had passed since the bloody war between the English gangster Johnny the Blade Smith and the Italian Mafia had come to an end. The streets of London had once again grown quiet, and the locals had returned to their daily routines, unaware of the underworld battles that had been fought in their city. But even though the war had ended, tensions between the two groups remained high. Both sides were watching each other closely, waiting for the slightest mistake that could reignite the conflict. Johnny knew that he had to stay on his guard, as the Mafia was a powerful and resourceful foe. One day, while Johnny was attending a meeting with his lieutenants, he received a call from an unknown number. The voice on the other end was heavily accented, and Johnny immediately recognized it as belonging to an Italian. "Hello, Johnny," the voice said. "This is Vito, from the Italian Mafia. I want to talk to you about a possible truce." Johnny was taken aback by the unexpected call. He had not expected the Mafia to approach him with a peace proposal. But he was willing to hear Vito out. Go on, Johnny said. Look, Johnny, we both know that the war between us has only brought us both losses. We have lost too many men, too much money, and too much influence. I propose that we call a truce and work together to control the city's underworld. We can divide the city into two halves, with each of us controlling our territory. We can form an alliance that will benefit both of us. Johnny was intrigued by the proposal. He knew that the Mafia was not to be trusted, but he also knew that the ongoing conflict was taking a heavy toll on his gang. He decided to accept Vito's offer and set up a meeting to discuss the details. The meeting between Johnny and Vito was tense, with both sides eyeing each other warily. But eventually, they managed to hammer out a deal. The city was divided into two halves, with Johnny controlling the north and Vito controlling the south. The two gangs agreed to work together to maintain peace in the city's underworld and share the profits from their criminal operations. The truce between the English Gangster and the Italian Mafia lasted for several years, and during that time, the city's crime rate dropped significantly. The two gangs worked together to keep the peace, and their alliance proved to be fruitful for both sides. But as is often the case with such deals, the truce eventually broke down. Rumors started to spread that Vito was making moves to take over Johnny's territory, and soon, the two sides were at each other's throats once again. The war that followed was even bloodier than the first, and this time, there was no chance of a truce. In the end, Johnny, the Blade Smith, emerged victorious once again, but at a great cost. His gang had been decimated, and he had lost many of his closest friends and allies. He knew that the war with the Italian Mafia would never truly be over and that he would have to stay on his guard for the rest of his life. But for the time being, he was content with the knowledge that he had done everything in his power to protect his gang and his city from the Mafia's reach. Thank you for watching this video. We hope you've enjoyed the tale we've shared and that it has captured your imagination and taken you on a journey. If you enjoyed our content, please consider liking and sharing the video to help spread the word and support our channel. Thank you again for watching, and we'll see you soon for more mesmerizing tales.